I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck. Country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying car till you get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. I ran up a check.
Good evening, everybody.
How you doing, sir? How you doing? How's everything going over there?
We are back again with another episode.
Hey, quick question for you before we get started with tonight's festivities. So,
myself, Anthony, and here's Mike.
we're in the grocery store today, and I always got to go through the cereal aisles because I'm just curious about things.
It's going good. It's going good. Okay,
I don't know if you've ever really looked at a box of cereal, right? So now, you know they've got the information on typically one side of the box of cereal, right? Sugars, proteins, carbohydrates, all this other stuff, all this crap. But it also gives you suggested, recommended serving of cereal. Doesn't matter what the cereal is, it's just that's the recommended. Apparently, that's the status quo recommendation, which apparently is like a cup of cereal, right? A cup of cereal. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever really looked at how much a cup is, right? So I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. See, now, never in my entire life have I consumed just a cup of cereal. I didn't even know this rule existed. So that's bizarre to me. But folks, I wanted to show you real quick what Mike's idea. Now we all have, like, when you were growing up, bud, you had like your favorite cereal bowl, probably. I had my, like you got a Scooby-Doo, spoon or Spider-Man spoon, that type of deal, right? So I reached a point where, regardless of what people think about how much you should eat a cereal, I want to show you what Mike's cereal bowl. This is Mike's cereal bowl. And as a matter of fact, it still is, really, if I eat cereal. I hope this shows up. I hope it does. You see this right here? All right, folks, this is a Tupperware salad bowl. It's a salad bowl. This thing is huge. You can see, right? It's huge. See this right here? This halfway point on this bowl, this salad bowl, that's where Mike fills up his cereal to. That is Mike's cereal bowl. It basically, so if I'm filling this, so a cereal box, I get 2 servings of cereal per box. This is Mike's recommended daily serving of cereal right here. A half a salad bowl. You want to see Mike's cereal spoon? This is Mike's cereal spoon. It's not quite a ladle, but it's about as big as you can get. This is what you should be using, folks. Now, kids. Now, obviously, these are adult portions. So, kids, always listen to mom and dad. Don't necessarily listen to Mike because Mike may not be technically correct. But you see this right here? See this? This is almost like a ladle. So you put that in your salad bowl, eat your half a box of cereal, and does life really get any better than this? It doesn't matter. It's just the greatest experience in the world. Don't bust it. Don't burst it.
Well, I don't really want to burst your bubble on it right now, but the fact that you tell me that, you know how long it would take me to eat that? I don't eat that cereal. So if I had a bowl
Okay,
that
real quick,
long,
I
it'd
got
be
a
about
counter.
2
I got
weeks
a
before
counter
I'd have to finish
suggestion to
that.
that, and then folks will get right into the important topics. But this is life changing information right here. You hold on to this. Hold on to this. So real quick,
I can't
real
believe you just
quick,
pulled out that
real,
bag.
real quick, real quick. So the trick to that is you got to get a cereal that doesn't dissolve quickly, like Captain Crunch turns into a sponge. Now you want a good cereal that will stay hard. Now like Wheaties that turns into like mush, soaks up all the milk. It's awful. You want a good cereal, but I don't think they still make. There's two. I don't know if they have a go-to cereal. I do. One, my favorite is Corn Pops. They'll last in a bowl, regardless of whether you got this or not. They'll last in a bowl for hours, right? But to go to cereal, my second one was always Alpha-Bits. Alphabet. Remember Alpha-Bits? Did you ever have Alpha-Bits?
I didn't
Okay,
have
you didn't have Alpha-Bits?
I didn't have it.
Okay, the great thing about Alpha-Bits is this. They were all, it's almost like alphabet soup. Everything was like a letter of the alphabet, right? Alpha-Bits. Stay solid in milk forever. But only problem with that was that, and my dad kind of had to stop it, is because apparently it's not considered proper to like try to make bad words out of your letters. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And my dad literally said, okay, so Mike, we can't let you do this with alphabet soup anymore. You can't do this with alphabets. You're prohibited. I got censored over cereal.
The only one I'm gonna be okay with that I'm gonna let get soggy and it'll be fine with me is Cocoa Puffs because you got chocolate milk anyways at the end of it. So then you get to drink the milk and it's chocolate milk. You know what I mean? So that's a no-brainer right there. I mean, I get it. The Frosted Flake things, once they get a little too soggy, you kind of give up on them a little bit. But Fruit Loops are always good regardless too. I used to love cereals like that. I just don't do them. I just don't do them anymore.
Well,
I don't do breakfast anymore. That's the one thing is I don't do breakfast.
But remember this too, and I think you and I talked about this one time. The greatest cereal in the world, for period, Lucky Charms. There's nothing better. Kids, everybody, you eat the cereal first. Eat the cereal. Don't eat the marshmallows. Eat the cereal. Leave the marshmallows, and then at the end of the thing, at the end of all that, you've got a bowl full of marshmallows and milk. It is the greatest cereal experience you'll ever have in your life.
You know the greatest cereal experience I ever had was when my parents finally let me put the sugar amount that I wanted in my Rice Krispies because I almost dumped that whole damn thing in there.
I can't argue that.
Still to this day, I'll do that when I want to.
Well, folks, that's our cereal conversation for the day. Hope you enjoyed it. Now
Wow. Hey, that's a great way to start, though, Mike. I like that one. That was a good one. I was so surprised about the bowl, though. I could not believe that you had a salad bowl.
Hey, no, that's the only way to go. I'm telling you, folks.
I mean, you'd be lucky to get me in like a little salsa bowl or something like that. Get that much in. But hey, you know. Anyways, everybody, welcome back. Another exciting show I think we have in store for you guys. Obviously, last week was real good. Got into our top 10s with our sports analysts. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Tonight we'll be talking about, kind of switched it up a little bit off of the sports, and we're going to do our top 10 action movies. So kind of look forward to that, Mike.
Yeah, I am too, buddy.
You and I are going to have quite a bit of differences in our list, I think, things like that. So I think it's going to be nice to get into that, talk a little bit of that. But, of course, our beefs of the week. I don't know if any of them's going to top Mike's last week.
Well, that was Mike's tirade.
So we'll see. I mean, we still got some stuff in store for you guys. Obviously, we enjoy coming up with all these. We enjoy it throughout the week, talking to each other about, what we think about, what would be good for each other. Sometimes Mike will throw things out to me. Hey, what do you think about this one? I'll maybe throw some stuff out to him. So we're always focused throughout the week doing this, guys. I don't think we just kind of jump on here each week and just like kind of just run with whatever. We do try to take as much time as we can. Obviously both Mike and I work other jobs at the same time doing this, but we love being here with you guys. We love doing this. Just so you guys understand, we definitely try to put in as much work as possible into this for you. So first thing we're going to get into today is we're going to kind of talk about the big men. And are they actually evolving right now Um, or are we, um, or is it more of just better ball players? Is it just maybe lack? I know we've talked about lack of defense, maybe in the NBA, Mike. I mean, what do you think?
You talk about the lack of defense, but and we've talked about that, like you mentioned, and it is true. But and we can get into guys like obviously Nicola and Embiid here shortly because that's what's currently taking place. A couple of new guys, on the horizon with the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. But if you go back in history, you go all the way back to guys like Chamberlain and Russell. And I always look at those guys as guys who helped revolutionize the sport. They were transitional. They were generational, I should say. And like you and I've talked about, and like I've tried to establish as to how I perceive it, you've got great superstars and you've got generational ball players. And generational are the players I feel, they changed the position. I think if you look back at Bill Russell, and I won't get into the stats because in part we did that with one of your best video offerings is when you produced the top 12 NBA, players of all time, and I don't think we can top that. What we're really looking at here, folks, is just again, like Mr. Anthony indicated, just kind of what they brought to the game, how it's transitioned through the decades, that type of thing. And I just think when we start with Bill Russell, and obviously Wilt Chamberlain, but more so with Bill Russell and what he did with the Celtics back in the '60s and their domination, with all the titles that they won with 11. I think you could say that I do believe at that point in time, Russell, he was generational. People hadn't seen an athlete like that who could run the court like that at the center position. Great facilitator, great, underneath the basket, pretty decent outside the basket. But I think also with leadership and he brought to the game. But I think just his ability to move up and down the court was a lot of what people hadn't seen up until that point with the center position. And again, he transitioned with that through his leadership and what he ultimately did with coaching with the Celtics and that type of thing. There was also at that point in time, obviously, there was Wilt Chamberlain, who I think also flew under the radar. And, we can quote with the 100-point effort that he had that, unfortunately, we don't really have video on this. We have radio commentary, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But
Yep, exactly.
I just think, and it's unfortunate because there isn't a lot of video attached to individuals such as Chamberlain, more so I think than Russell, and with what some of their greater exploits. But I think in just the footage that we do have available, Chamberlain wasn't a great court runner, but he was great underneath the basket. And he was dominant. His height obviously contributed to a lot of what he was able to do. But his size was unique, I think, his length. By that also means wingspan and what he could bring defensively, blocking shots, altering a person's, shot trajectory, those type of things.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I think, in the early part of the 60s, through the 60s, those two guys obviously dominated. And again, like I said, Russell with the mobility and that type of thing, Russell with the dominance underneath as well, or Chamberlain, I should say. So I'm going to leave that for the moment with the 60s, and then we'll begin to transition into the 70s with a little bit of what I think, but obviously with what you think about that, Bud.
Yeah, so, I mean, my take on it is obviously, I'm going to kind of go more in depth in this and kind of get into all of these centers, more than just the eras, because, like I said before, and kind of the question going around is the center spot, evolving? I don't think any of these positions evolve or, at a certain point in time. What it is I think all these centers that we know that are great, the Russells, the Chamberlains, Shaqs, Jokic even now, Embiid, Ewing, that the thing with those guys is, I would not say evolving, they're smart. So basically what I mean by smart is they knew exactly how to use their ability. So Shaq didn't come in the league thinking, I'm going to be an outside shooting three-pointer type of a center, right? No, I'm big, I'm strong, I'm the biggest guy ever probably to step foot on the court. I'm going to use my strength. So he was a power, boom, back and forth, get into the paint, dunk it on you, right? What was Chamberlain? Dominance, right? I'm too big, I'm taller than everybody, boom, I dominate. now let's take Jokic. Jokic understands that he's smart enough to pass, he's smart enough to know when to shoot, and he's got enough handles to get through. So all these guys are doing is using what they know how to already do and just putting it out there on the court and being good. I wouldn't say it's evolving. It's just the IQ of these players are just better. Give a guy like a Ewing, right? Ewing knows he's not an outside shooter or anything, but he can hit the 25-foot jump shot. But like what I'm trying to get at is that you don't see these guys going and doing anything extra. They're doing what they're supposed to, and they know they can do. Like I said, like Shaq. How many times do you see Shaq putting up threes in his career? He never did unless it was for fun or last second shot or something, right? Because he was a winner. He wanted to win. He worked hard. He knew he needed to, so he wasn't going to do something stupid. He knew he wasn't going to make three-pointers or anything like that. So all these centers that are great, Russell knew that he was a great defender. He wasn't a great scorer, so he had other people to help score, but he defended great. So all these guys, I don't want to say it's evolving or anything to that effect. It's more of just these guys were just very, very smart. These top centers that we think of now, Elijah Wan too, he knew that he had the footwork to beat everybody that he could. He probably has the best footwork I've ever seen out of a center, ever in my life. So all these guys are just smart. That's just knowing your basketball IQ, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. But and I wanted to use Russell and Chamberlain as a platform for, to your point, if you encompass them as a whole. But I do believe there's a physical evolution of the center as well. If you look at what obviously Russell and Chamberlain offered, obviously with Chamberlain height, size, slim in build, basically, you transition to more stockier builds. Obviously, Shaq is the exception. But still within what you're talking about, so there was a more physical presence, particularly during the mid 80s to the early 90s. Yeah, you got, with the Ewings and even Hakeem. And I want to touch on him just real quick because you made a great point. I really thought from the center position, Hakeem was one of the most fluid centers I've ever seen in my life. Great positioning on the court, particularly underneath the basket. And knew how to utilize his body. One of the great fadeaway shots I've ever seen from the center position. But I also think much as Russell and Chamberlain could be a little bit limited from the outside shot, I thought by the back end of the 80s into the early 90s, you saw guys like Ewing and Olajuwon develop the ability and show, along with Robinson, to show the ability that a center could have to step outside the box, so to speak, and take that outside shot. So now you were forcing defenses to not only scheme inside, but they also had to be aware of the outside potential with some of these guys as well. I thought that brought a new dynamic to the position itself. I thought as those guys begin to step away from the game, and by that I mean the Ewings and the Olajuwon and the thing like that, I thought there was a little bit of a lull there where, again, the game, and as you and I both know, it's transitioned to more of an outside game now, particularly now with everybody wanting to shoot the three, definitely. No defense. Yeah. That's why, back to what you mentioned with Nikola, I think what we now see with him, and obviously I think Giannis is there too, but when I look at Nikola, this is, to me, the next step in the evolution, if you will. And again, like you said, all smart. You have to be smart to play the position to be that great. But what I see with Nikola is a person who not only is he good at his position, great at his position, but when he's bringing the ball up, as we talked about in one of our casts last year, here's a guy who, to your point again, there's an intelligence factor attached to what he does. He knows what he can do, but as he's bringing the ball up the court, it's almost like taking a chess analogy. He approaches the game and his four other parts like a chessboard. He's the one also on the court directing everything. I don't think we've ever seen the center position where this person is doing all of this. It's literally a secondary coach on the court, and his court vision and where he knows people need to be is incredible. I mean, his ability speaks for itself.
Totally agree. Yeah. It's insane to watch him do what he does, night in and night out. It is. It's crazy. He's and like I said, I don't know if I don't know. Like, I agree with you. I don't know if I've ever seen a center. I can't think of anybody right off the top of my head that just kind of takes over the game like that in all aspects, on the defensive side, on the offensive side, assisting, rebounding, scoring, all that together. And on top of that, shooting well, too. I mean, he shoots great from the field goal percentage. Well, we were talking about 82% from the free throw line. That's great for a big man, too. Because you think about a lot of these big men, too, that we talk about. I think if you put like a lot of these guys together, between Shaq and Wilt, those two are awful free throw shooters. They were 50% for their career. Even Russ wasn't great. I mean, Ewing was average. Hakeem was decent. So these guys now are shooting really, really well too. Like even Embiid. I mean, I know you're not a huge fan of Embiid. I mean, I'm not going to say that I am, but the thing is his talents are insane. I mean, he can shoot the outside shot. He can shoot, the small jumper. He can get inside, create his own shot. I mean, he's a strong guy. He's great defensively too. But I like Embiid to the point of saying that he is part of this really good centers again, because I think we lost centers there for a little while, and Jokic is bringing that back, and Bean's one of those is bringing that back. I really enjoyed even watching Bam Adebayo against the Nuggets in this last season. I thought Bam was actually great for Miami, in the finals and stuff like that, and throughout the playoffs last year too. So I think it's coming back. It's just a different way of playing the game, and they're just trying to basically come up, just make up for the times right now. That's just where we're at in the NBA.
No, and I throw Giannis in there too, because this is a guy who technically doesn't have to play the center position, but he can be utilized in that position because of versatility. And you could see that was something you didn't see in previous generations. Not when you say on a normal basis. It's not even a normal situation now. But that speaks to the ability of that individual to be able to do that. We saw Magic Johnson do it in the finals one time when Kareem was out. So Magic had to step up and play the position from a forward position. He dominated the position. And I have nothing against him, but per se, I just believe that his overall game isn't obviously equal to Nicola's. He doesn't have the court vision. He doesn't have the ability to direct the traffic. His overall skill set is off the charts. And if not for the injuries, I think he'd be even more dominant. I still take issue with
that. Kind of goes back to my point originally, where I was saying, hey, like these guys, maybe Embiid knows that he's not a great passer, so he doesn't do that. He leaves it to the other guys to do it. That's what I'm saying. That was my point earlier. Was just that these guys do what they feel like they're the strongest at doing, and it's succeeding for them. He knows he's a great rebounder. Good, great scorer, and he can block, and he's a defender. So maybe he shies away from the assists because he knows he'd probably get more turnovers. He would be more hurtful in that sense. So, but Jokic doesn't, because you know why? Because Jokic can do it all. He can assist, he can rebound, he can score, he can dribble. So he's doing that because he knows he can. Embiid realizes he can't. He's not that guy, so he leaves that to somebody else. But instead of getting that double, maybe that extra 10 assists, he's going and getting 20 rebounds in the game. So he's putting up, 40 and 20 or something like that, or 35 and 18 or something. So which is tremendous. For
him. It's fantastic.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting. That was my point. Is that these guys, like I said, is evolving? No, I think it's just the fact that your basketball IQ. That's what makes you great, and that's part of what that is. It's just the basketball IQ. Like I said, Shaq didn't just dominate. Didn't just shoot from the outside or anything like that because he thought he could. No, he knew where he was supposed to be, get on the block, and go to work. That's what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Hakeem would do what he needed, and his fancy footwork got him to the bucket, and that's how he scored.
Yeah, and real quick, but also, and a lot of this we focus on just the offensive side of it, and you've mentioned just a little bit about the defensive side, and that's been just as important regardless of who we're talking about generationally. Russell, Chamberlain, they were very good on the defensive side of the ball too. And that's another that's another constant with a lot of what we're talking about here, regardless of the generation. Shaq could be immensely dominant underneath the basket, but he could also transition to the defensive end and do it. Robinson, that type of thing. And we're not speaking on every center that's been at least comparable or slightly below these individuals, folks. We're just thinking about obviously what we all know.
We can keep going.
Yeah, we could.
There's definitely some guys we're
sure.
missing. I get it. David Robinson could be in this conversation too. He was tremendous. He has 2 rings. That's real good for him. So there's tons of centers. They all have done it differently. Obviously you base it on the era, like people say, but for me, I don't really base it on the era. Because I feel like guys like Shaq, definitely Jokic, those guys could play in any era and be fine. I think Chamberlain and Russell could definitely play. They could definitely play. Obviously, they played in 50s. They could have played 70s, which Chamberlain did. 80s, they would have been okay. I think the 90s, 2000s, and here on out, it would have gotten a little worse for them just because they weren't fast. Like, the game's fast. That's the thing right now. The game is super fast, and I don't know if Chamberlain and Russell could keep up with that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
No, I do agree. But also, too, to your point, Bud, if we go back to the late 80s or the early 80s into the early 90s, there was a defensive aspect to the game as well. And I'm not sure like a David Robinson. And I'm talking about in part because of build and things like that. Your skill set's one thing, but the physicality of the sport could have also, we'll never know exactly. But again, back to your overall point, the intellect had to be there. The ability to know what you have to work with and who you have to work with is as a big part of it as anything. And I do believe, though, with where Nicole is taking the center position right now, I think this is the platform for where centers may be going moving forward, at least for the next decade. We know it changes every so often, every 10 to 12 years. All positions change. But right now, I think from that position, I think Nikola shows, not only is he obviously comparable to what we're talking about, the common denominators, if you will, but here's a guy who's encompassing almost every aspect of what you need and applying it and being successful with it, and on the cusp of potentially, winning his third MVP in 4 years. We'll see how that plays out. But it's just phenomenal what he does, and I'm curious to see what the young centers do now. Do they begin to mold their game in part off of what he's doing, or do they continue to apply like you're talking about? I've got this skill set. Let me build off of that and be smart about it and apply that and move forward with it. Because they all like to mold and take something from somebody, because that's what part of looking back, Jordan and that type of thing. So, but I think Nicole is that guy, and at least for the center position moving forward. I think people are going to look and say, man, he did it this way. Maybe I should at least look into doing part of that. But be smart about it like you're talking about, Bud, because that is another common denominator. They all had to be smart and play within the system and make everybody around them better.
Definitely. No, I agree with you, and I think he will be that guy when it's all said and done. He's obviously got to get a few more rings on his finger, because he's obviously at the top there. We didn't talk a lot about him, but obviously we probably should have in this conversation. Is Kareem.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's definitely probably one of the best centers to play this game. He's got 6 on his fingers or whatever. So I mean, one with Milwaukee where it was, it was him and Oscar and stuff. So you got to think too. I think he'll be that guy. I mean, it's insane to watch what he does. Like I said, he's never been. You've never seen this out of a center, for one. But on top of that, also, it's just. I would really like to see him. I think if he can get with what he's doing right now, in my opinion, I think with what he's doing, how he's been playing, if he keeps going with this triple-double stuff and he keeps doing, maybe get himself, I think all he would really need, because stats and all that together, I think, in my opinion, all he would need is 3 rings at least, and obviously surpass, get up there in the top 5, top 10 in scoring if possible, obviously assist and rebound, see where it ends up. But I think he would at least need 3 rings if he's going at the same pace that he does to be able to get him over that hump to say he would be the best center ever.
Yeah, and to compliment your point about, and I agree with you completely on Nicole with the potential for rings and what he would need to necessitate real full acknowledgement. But to compliment your point about Kareem, I think he might be the perfect example of what you're talking about as a smart ball player, one titled with both conferences, obviously 2 different teams, but look at the longevity of his career. You don't achieve that lengthy of a career without being smart about it, especially the older you get, because the physical abilities diminish, and if you don't have it up here, the physical part's not going to carry you any further. So that Kareem may be the person who complements your statement the best right there, bud, is that be smart, and that's how you last in this thing. That's how you become great.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then the other thing about being, but also being a great teammate, because you're talking about the Lakers with Kareem and Magic together. So
Worthy.
It's like he could easily, like you see a lot now in the NBA, oh, this is my team, I deserve to get the ball more, all that stuff. You didn't see that back then.
Nope.
You didn't hear that from Marlon back then. It was, we're on the same team. We're going to do the same job. I'm inside. You're outside. You know, we're going to work together. That type of thing. All these centers like that have been there. Right? And I don't care. You can sit there and say, well, Kobe and Shaq had their issues or whatever. Fine, whatever. But, I mean, you didn't see that on the court. Because, you know what? Both those players wanted to win just as bad as each other. They worked as hard. Obviously, in my opinion, I think Kobe worked harder than Shaq. We've had this discussion before. Everybody talked about it, just that Shaq obviously would have maybe kept in better health during his career, that maybe they could have won more. Who's to say that's true? You know, whatever. It kind of goes back to the whole Jordan thing, right? Like, oh, if he never retired, do they win 8 in a row type stuff? We never know, and we won't know if that's the case or not. But either way, all of these guys were great teammates too, while also having other Hall of Famers with them for the most part. I mean, rather than like maybe like Hakeem, I don't think Hakeem ever played with the Hall of Famer, but maybe Clyde might have been the only Hall of Famer he really played with, or Charles maybe. I don't know. Did he play with Barkley? Was Hakeem and Barkley?
So now you're talking about with the
Rockets back then? I don't
if
think
they
so,
did, it could have been for more than a season or two, if that. Because
Boy,
I
if
think
anything,
Charles transitioned to Phoenix.
Wasn't Clyde, Scotty, Charles, and what if Hakeem are on that same team? How did they not? Were they all just past their prime or what?
I don't know.
How did they not win?
Well, and again, it speaks to the idea too that you have to play within yourself, and ego sometimes get involved. But so it speaks to just what you were talking about, just what you were saying with Kareem, and obviously Matt. You have to be able to put the ego aside, like you said with Kareem, and saying, "Look, I'm not as dominant anymore. Take the team and run with it. I'm here for support." That's part of the greatness you're talking about, and that's generational. That's not year to year. That's generational. That's how that works. So that's a great point that you're making about that. But you have to be smart, and that's one of the things that carries you to have not just a 5-year career, but a 15-year career.
Definitely.
I mean, it's a great point.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, great topic, Mike. I love talking about this. Obviously, we love getting back into the old school. You know, Mike and I, we love talking about old school stuff. So we love talking about the Chamberlains and the Russells and Shaqs and all those guys, Kareem and stuff. So it's nice to get through there. But, you know, obviously things are changing a little bit in the NBA. We understand that. And we're trying to get along with the game. Obviously, we've had our talks, so we won't get into it tonight because we've already talked about how we feel about the NBA recently and things like that. But no, great topic. So guys, we're gonna take a quick break here, real quick, and then coming back for you already know what time it is. Beef of the week. Be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. Almost Mediocre Sports Guys. Anthony and Mike here with you, and we're going to get into this, guys. We're Beef of the Week is here. Mike, we are going to get started with your beef this week, and sounds like you got a little bit of beef with Cam Newton. Is that what it is?
No, I'll tell you what, but it's not really so much with Cam. It's the situation itself, and obviously, folks, Anthony and I don't. By the time you hear some of these stories, it's on the back end of things. So we're not here to just beat it into the ground, but it's something that we've thought about, and caused us to pause and think about a couple of things. But my beef is, again, not so much with Cam. It's about everything that sort of what happened in that incident seems to be, I don't know, happening in to degrees and to varying degrees, I should say, in sports itself. And by that, obviously, I'm talking about fighting within sports and that type of thing. With the Cam situation, and I don't know how many people are now privy to the one side talking about it, the guys who seem to attack Cam, and obviously Cam has offered up his explanation of it now. So you take it for what it's worth. Both sides probably a little skewed, but it's left to the viewer to decide which one they believe more. And Anthony and I won't necessarily say one way or the other. I just think the bottom line here is the fighting aspect of it is what is just is really concerning to me. Cam, this particular event, so to speak, it was actually, it's an event that he hosts every year, and what it really is it's just to help kids become more familiar with football, understand the rules, sportsmanship, that type of, hone your skills, and hopefully better prepare yourself not only for a potential future in football, but also just to be better in society as a whole. And obviously, as most of us have seen now, whatever took place, it culminated by spiraling out of control with an altercation between what turned out to be apparently 3 coaches from one team. I think they're called 7-on-7, but this is their own separate group. But the 3 coaches used to work under Cam's group as assistant coaches. So that's how this all began in the first place. And then again, they transitioned out to form their own group. But again, my bottom line here is I just, we all, you can get involved in gameplay, and Bud, you've played, I've played. Sometimes you get heated, you talk stuff, you talk smack.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, and we've seen it just recently, what it kind of got around with the Akeem Talib thing, or, the kid thing. I don't understand why some of these kids functions or these, camps, why they get so crazy out of nowhere now. I mean, what are we doing nowadays? That we feel like we need to be fighting everything, or we need to go out and just look like a jackass sometimes. I don't understand it.
That's what I'm talking about. But so, with that particular incident, again, we'll never know the full story, I'm sure. But I'm also seeing this now. There was a point in time, we've had these conversations about off camera. Folks, there was a time with women's college basketball where you could go entire seasons without any type of altercation. The ladies, they didn't talk smack. They played the game to the best of their ability, under the rules, under sportsmanship. But I'm telling you, over the last 5 to 6 seasons, I see this natural progression now where we see more women becoming involved in altercations. And I'm not talking pushing and shoving. I'm talking about throwing fists. And it's just mind-boggling to me that we're reaching these levels. I'm also seeing, and you haven't seen this particular video, but I think I sent it to you, maybe I didn't, but this is recently in a college men's basketball game. It's traditional that at the end of a college basketball game, you literally form a line and you walk towards one another and you shake hands in a sign of good sportsmanship. Yet,
definitely,
this latest incident, and folks, I can't recall the 2 schools, in part because it seems to be happening so frequently now, I'm losing track. But in this particular situation, the fight literally breaks out in the line to acknowledge good sportsmanship. I mean, how hypocritical is this that you guys are breaking into a fight? And this escalated to the point that it was all over the court, people having trouble breaking it up. A fan, a girl, and I don't know the age, but she was a young girl, probably, I'm guessing between like 10 and 12. That's what I'm hearing. She was hurt, not seriously, but she could have been. All because of 2 guys or 4 guys being upset with one another. And it escalates into this full on-court brawl that nobody seems to break up. And it's absolutely unnecessary. You're literally contradicting everything that line is for. And I see this in the women's game, as I mentioned. And I see this, and I see this in little kids now.
About this all the time about this, and how you sent me videos about this, and we've looked at them, and just it's happening. Fighting in sports in general has just been happening way too often, a whole lot more. I mean, I don't know what's caused it now. I don't know if it's just the players are different now. None of them just want to take crap from anybody anymore. I don't know if they're just, undisciplined. I don't know what the difference is, because the thing is I mean, you can say all you want, you kind of speculate, but the more it's happening, it's kind of hard to just sit here and pick and choose what you think is the real problem, because now it's happening so often, and it's just like, maybe it's just, I can go back, it's just the generation, it's just the era we're in now, that this is just the time where it's just a fighting, all these leagues are just fighting now. Maybe that's just where we're at. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it's entitlement. Part of it, again, it kind of touches on what we were talking about with, rushing the court and that type of thing last week. But I really believe what happens here is there's no one's being penalized for this. Not really. See, now with the one I'm referencing, where it seemed like every member of both teams was involved in this melee. So if you really want to look to prevent this, for me personally, I would have literally suspended every single player from both teams, thus literally forcing you to forfeit your next game. Now, whether that affects your chances at the tournament, that affects your position in your own regional tournament, I don't know. But they just don't take the proper steps of the severity that they could lay down on these individuals or these teams to say, hey, if you do this, there's going to be penalties involved that are going to affect you dramatically and could cost you a game, obviously wins, losses, that type of thing, and seeding in your own local tournament, your own conference tournament, that type of thing. Or if it's just two players, then suspend them for 5 games, 6 games. I think also part of the problem, Bud, is the NIL and the transfer portal. I think these are contributing greatly to this, because these kids now are making quite a bit of money. And I just think that gives them this thought process that, well, hey, go and do what you want. I got a little bit of money in my pocket, so it's not really going to hurt me that bad. And again, we can't solve all the issues here. We're talking about things that may be contributing to the problem and possible ways you could look to address it. But ultimately, as you and I know, it's something that would take a long, lengthy process to properly figure out.
Well, the other thing is you have to start. I mean, if it's already starting now in the college, at the college level and stuff like that, I mean, who's to say it's not going to turn over and go into the NBA level, right? I mean, and then once you get, some of these guys that can't handle their attitudes and the way that they are, then next thing you know, what do you have? You have a malice at the palace, right? And we all know how bad that turned out to be. You know what I mean? And that was awful. That malice at the palace was terrible.
But why is it?
I mean, you're talking about fans get into it and it's like you said, and the same thing that Jay Billis has said before. It's like, fans do not belong on the court or anything, and the players do not belong in the stands. And that's exactly where that all went wrong, because everybody was just involved, with the fans, the players, coaches, all this type of stuff. That malice at the palace. So you got to stop it now, because if they just feel like they can keep going and with no repercussions from all the way through college, get in the NBA, then they think that there's nothing to happen to them in the NBA, which sometimes it doesn't. I mean, you talked about this with the commissioner now, and just how he really doesn't have a stern hold on the NBA like David Stern did.
Why isn't Draymond Green suspended for an entire season?
Why isn't Draymond Green suspended just for the remainder of his career? I don't know.
Well, exactly.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
How many times has this guy been suspended, and yet he continues to be allowed to play in at least aspects or portions of a season? And I'm sorry,
I think they're ready for him to just retire, so they're waiting for him to do it instead of suspending him. I mean, how many more years does he have left in him? I'm sorry, but all those Draymond Green lovers, and they say that he thinks that he should be a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry, but he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not. I mean, good Lord.
And the flip side of it, I watched the video. I don't know who LSU was playing just the other night, and here's Angel Reese at the free throw line, and she's getting into this verbal altercation with this girl on the other team at the free throw line, and she's the one shooting the free throws, and she's continuing to have this verbal disagreement with this girl standing next to her, and nobody does anything with this. Tell them just shut the F up and let's play basketball.
Ever since she won that national championship, she went on her head just swelled up.
Yeah,
And
and
she thinks
again,
she's the greatest player ever to step on a court and all this and that. But that right there is what really ticks me off about sports is those players who believe that because they've won something, they've been just a little bit better or something like that, that all of a sudden it's like, I'm the greatest. I deserve the world. I deserve everything. You guys all bow down to me. I'm sorry, Angel, that's not how this works.
yeah.
That's not how this works. And I guarantee you get to that WNBA, it's going to be a different story for you. And they're gonna come after you. They're gonna beat you up in there inside, and she's not used to that.
Yeah,
She's
and the
not used
last
to
thing,
being beat up inside
the
and
last
that
thing
like
I'll say
that.
about this, Bud, is, and I kind of touched on this last week with, again, rushing the court, that type of thing by the fans. At some point, almost like with that game where the two teams literally occupied at least half of the court in different brawling in different areas of the court, and the little girl getting hurt, regardless of what it was, at some point, if you allow these things to continue and they escalate like that, some fan is going to get injured, and you,
Mm-hmm.
the school, are going to be sued for this. And
Oh yeah.
they're going to know what type of financial amount of money you have basically within your institute. And so the lawsuit won't be cheap. And it's going to be on video there for everyone to see. So you're not going to have much of a
Definitely.
defense to say, hey, that's the ref's fault. No, it's your fault. You're the school hosting the event. Apply and provide proper security. These are the kind of common sense things that these schools need to be doing professionally, collegiately, on the high school level. I've seen little kids, you've seen little kids getting into disagreements and talking crap. I mean, you had
Yeah.
one with
Yeah.
just the event, not the kid talking, but you went to an event where your daughter's playing basketball and you're watching the opposing coach, conduct himself the way he did. And if you want to speak on that just briefly, I'll let you do it. But it's even at that level that kids are being entitled and allowed to do certain things, and it's wrong. It just teaches
Oh
the
yeah.
wrong
Yeah. I mean,
values.
yeah, in that situation was just a coach that I guess apparently winning was just more important than teaching these kids to, being out there and just having fun. I mean, he left their best player in, and even though that they were down by 10 or something like that, just for them to get the win, he put him in, and that kid just goes and scores through everybody and this and that. So it just proves that, and don't get me wrong, people. I mean, I'm not talking like high school. My daughter's only 7 years old playing at a young age, so. That's what I'm talking about here. You have to teach these kids at a young
Values, good
age that it's
sportsmanship.
okay. I mean, and yes, at all times, yes, it's okay to lose. It's also good to win. Everything's all good. But you also need to teach them, the value of being able to pass the ball, being able to get your other players involved in this. And that kid he was just too good for everybody that he just goes by everybody and just scores. He doesn't look to pass. He doesn't look to give anybody else or nothing like that. So it was just the fact that it was more important for him to win than anything than just to let other kids play, or because he had kids that he could have put in at that point, but he decided to leave him in for the rest of the time when it was supposed to be time for substitution. So
And that's sad, because that's the age you begin to show them the values and the good sportsmanship,
yeah,
and it's even being lost at that level. Great
oh
topic,
yeah,
great topic.
yeah. No, great
Great
job,
input,
Mike.
bud. Great
We
input.
we love your beef. We love your beef this week. That's a good one to talk about for sure. So well, moving on to my beef actually this week is I guess the NFL players, came out and they had to grade basically their owners, NFLPA and all that, talking about, what grade to give their players or their owners and things like that. And one of the main topics on it was the Chiefs gave theirs like an F minus. And partially because I guess what they're talking about was that he was basically didn't provide most of the things that they were supposed to get. And part of the reason he said that they didn't do it was because, well, they've made it too far in the playoffs. That was his answer first. So since because they made it too far, they didn't have enough chance to do any renovations. So really, all they really got was chairs. Some chairs. That was the main thing that they got. And so that's why they gave him an F on it. They feel like they are entitled to more stuff, and we use that word a lot. And this is part of my beef right here. And this is what I'm going to get into: is all these players think they're entitled to this, entitled to that. And I get you're winning. I understand, but at the same time, how much money are you guys making nowadays? I mean, the other thing is, you guys want those renovations, and they couldn't get them done, things like that. You know what's going to come in next out of those renovations? Okay, why don't I go ahead and take $10 million away from each one of your salaries so that way I can renovate your building for you? At that point, they would say stop, right? Because they're messing with their money. You know what I mean? You see all these players nowadays, they show up with their fancy, their fancy suits now. They show up with, all these chains and these watches and just, some of these outfits too are insane. Like I wouldn't be caught dead in some of these crazinesses. I'm not even gonna lie about it. But my thing is so you feel like you're so entitled to all this, but at what expense are you entitled to it? Is my question. Because yeah, you want everybody to pay for it to get you guys all these nice things and this and that, but when they can't afford it and then they want to start using, hey, why don't we start taking out some of your salaries? No, let's not do that. Because let's not mess with anybody's money, right?
Nope.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, they have to make it make sense. I mean, I get you've won some Super Bowls here recently, Kansas City. You guys are playing great. I mean, I get you guys may deserve some things that you can, but I mean, you're giving your owner an F minus for that because all you did was put some chairs in. And a lot of these other ones, they're not having a good enough dietitian. They don't, they're not getting good trainers or enough weights and stuff. So be it. So what? And I've told you before in the past. I sit there and I listen. I watch Chad Ochocinco and Onk on their nightcap podcast. And I totally agree with Chad. These guys are complaining about dietitians, all this and that. But yet, these guys are supposedly having top-of-the-tier workout rooms, top-tier food, dietitians, all this stuff. But yeah, why is everybody getting hurt? Why is everybody getting hurt now? I remember when I played, I mean, I stayed in shape by working out, doing what I was supposed to do, going to my practices, doing that. But I ate whatever I wanted off that court or off the field, whatever I was playing at that time. I ate whatever. I go to McDonald's. I'd eat Burger King, fast food all the time, whatever. But I never got hurt either. So you're telling me that all these owners are supposed to just throw out all this money. They're paying all this extra money to have better dietitians, better food in there, better hot tubs, cold tubs, whatever you guys need for all that. But yet you're still all injured all the time.
Yep.
And this isn't just football. This is basketball too. Baseball players are hurt all the time now too. How is this supposed to be the greatest generation of having all this technology and this and that to get better, and yet you guys are all still hurt?
Yeah, I think, and firstly, I'll say, apparently the offensive and defensive linemen, they might want to look at other options for their dietitians, because if you look at them physically, something's not working here. But that's kind of a joke. I mean, they're athletes. No, I get it. But, back to your point, and we'll say this, I mean, apparently, to Andy Reid's credit, he received a thumbs up, high grade, obviously for his coaching ability. But again, obviously, if you're looking at the Hunt family, F minus, I think is Shannon indicated. I don't think I recall anybody getting an F minus. I mean, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. And you and I talked about this. Even, I can recall when I worked at the pharmacy, bud, and this is typical for any business. Maybe you experience it in your line of work too. Any area that you have for the public to come in, whether it's for corporate visits or customers to come in, yada, yada, yada. If they need to utilize a restroom, there's usually one available. And typically it's kept really nice and tidy, shiny, presentable.
Yeah. You try to, you
exactly.
definitely try to.
Now you transition, and I use the pharmacy as an example. Now, if you transition to inside the pharmacy, where that particular restrooms were obviously solely for the use of the employees, typically these restrooms were not. They could have been better maintained. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah.
So my point is, from that standpoint, if I'm an employee, regardless of the bathrooms, if you're going to maintain one, maintain the other, because I think that's this. I need to feel comfortable in this. But when we step outside that box, back to what you're talking about, I'll tell you what, a football player typically on a lot of teams, the low-end athlete, look at Purdy for an example, working off a rookie contract, and granted $900,000, that's a pretty good chunk of change. We're never going to see 900. Well, most likely not going to see $900,000. But my point is back to what you're saying, bud. Don't look to me for sympathy, even if you're a $900,000 a year salary. You've got the money to go do the things you need to do to improve yourself. Mm-hmm. I, as the owner of the team, I don't think can be expected to offer these to you. Why am I expected to give you and provide for you potentially a private masseuse? You know what I'm saying? Or an area where people go for that type of thing. Why am I expected to provide you, the team, the players, with luxury boxes for your family? I don't see it that way. And I'm not saying you have them wait outside in the freezing cold, but let's get real here.
No, yeah, and I get that whole part. I mean, of course, you want to make sure the families are taken care of. I mean, these are the guys that are going in out there and working hard and trying to bring Super Bowls to you guys and stuff. So I think it's taking care of the families to an extent.
To an extent.
Exactly, to an extent. I mean, obviously, like you said, you're not putting them in bad seed. You're not putting them out in the cold.
Now, the Super Bowl is one thing. But not for game 8 of the season. I'm sorry, like the regular season situation, that type of thing. Look, guys, you're more than welcome, to sit, in very nice seats, within the stadium, and obviously enjoy a great view. Obviously, keep you out of the cold if it's bad, that type of thing. But let's get real here. I mean.
And I believe through the whole playoffs, and if they go to the Super Bowl, they should be taken care of at that point.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Making the playoffs is a huge thing. That's big because you never know if you're ever going to get back for one. And then obviously Super Bowl, that's another huge thing. You never know if you're going to get back here. And if you win it, I mean, it's a huge thing. That's something you want your family there for, all that stuff leading up to it. So I guess that portion of it, like you said, yeah, not game 3, game 4 of it here and there. I mean, I get it. If you want it, then you go ahead and you pay for it. You guys, you could pay your own people to get your seats for your family, and they can be in there. I have no problems with that at all. I think that's actually a good idea. Like I said, it's not. I mean, it's not the biggest beef I've had, but part of me is just, this whole. We've been kind of on this run here recently of like talking about entitlement players, talking about all the entitlements. We've talked about just how bad, maybe even professional sports as a whole has been getting. And something like this just kind of brings me over a little bit more to getting more angry at the professional player, because of the fact that you do feel like, man, you guys make all this money to be able to play a sport that, we would love to be able to enjoy and play at the same time and make that much money, but yet you guys feel like you guys still don't get enough, even though you're getting paid this much, even though you have these beautiful, locker rooms. And let's not sit here and act like all these locker rooms in the NFL right now are just complete garbage. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say they may not be maintained well, but they're not complete garbage at all. And we all know that. I mean, they keep them up to date on all of them. It's not like they're all falling apart or nothing like that. But that's part that gets to me is just, how do you guys feel that after making all this money still, that you still have something to complain about? I just don't understand that.
Well, yeah, exactly. And again, we go back to what we just talked about in part. It's entitlement, and that's everything that permeates through almost all sports now. Is enough is never enough, and so you have access to all these things now. I mean, good grief, people! You eat better than people do at 5-star restaurants right now, and this is on a daily basis. And it's not, and they personalize your requests. And again, we're about the personalized diet and that type of thing. But when is enough enough? And I'm sorry, again, like I said, even at the base salary of $900,000, you're not going to generate a lot of sympathy from me here. I mean, Come on, people, be self-sufficient. You're a grown man, first of all. Let's start, acting like it. Why don't you do this? Why don't you not only manage your diet and manage your off-season training, but why don't you manage your finances and find out ways to make this work? I mean, that should fall on you, not the owner of the team. Yeah. Because the owner of the team is basically also going to be expected, probably if you get to the Super Bowl and those type of things, and I get it to a degree, but they're probably going to help with, with the players, figuring out accommodations. And I understand, well, we got to be, we're occupied with the activities of getting ready for the game and stuff like that. So you go, nah, I get it to a point, but you're also expected to help deal with these situations. But it's just completely out of hand now, and I don't know where it stops. Again, it falls back in part on the commissioner, I think, not so much to dictate the salaries and things like that. That's for the owners and stuff. But if you don't address it soon, I think it's only going to get worse. I totally understand where you're coming from with that, but but that's pretty bad when you give an owner of a football team an F- simply over checks. So come on, people, that's a little pathetic.
I totally agree, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, good job this week.
Excellent topic, bud. Excellent topic.
Yeah, I think our beefs were actually really good topics to talk
about
right now.
A little more mild-mannered this.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm always a little mild-mannered.
You really are. I tend to lean to the psychotic side sometimes, but I got to stay on top of those pills. I'll leave it at that.
All right, everybody. Well, we all know what time it is, right? Let's move on to our next episode of... Alrighty, Mike, it's on for our top 10 right now. And today,
good. I'm looking forward to it.
We switched it up, guys. Even though we said we're, sports guys, we did switch it up on here. We're going to go action movies today, guys. And like I said, we kind of want to just open things up a little more, talk about, maybe get out of a little bit of sports every once in a while, just to have some fun. Just to have some fun out here. So we're gonna get going on this top 10 list. I'm looking forward to this, Mike, because I feel like we are going to have quite a bit of different movies to talk about
I think so too,
and have fun with this. But last week, I went first. Back to you. We will start off with you. What do you got at number 10?
All right, folks. I told Anthony, I texted him during the week and I said, man, it was actually a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. And then by that, I mean narrowing it down to 10. We probably could have gone 25 or 30 on this, really.
Yeah. No
just
lie.
a lot of movies. But I kind of took the perspective, of I kind of looked at movies that I repeatedly go back to, that I really enjoy watching again and again and again. They never get old, so to speak. So at number 10, I took one that I really like a lot, Kill Bill, a Quentin Tarantino movie. It turned out to be a trilogy, and I saw all three. But the first one is the one that really resonated with me. That was Kill Bill. And I just it was just a combination of different things, martial arts, paying tribute to older films, the genres and things like that, the genres. And I thought, like I said, Uma Thurman was terrific in the lead, a strong supporting cast.
Definitely. Actually, the whole cast.
Yeah, David Carradine was in this.
Very, very good.
Yeah, just a phenomenal cast, and the story itself was just great. But it had some great fight scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, we're talking action movies here. So whether something's blowing up or somebody's getting beaten up, and there's a sequence in this movie where Uma dresses in a black and yellow jumpsuit. And that's a complete tribute to one of Bruce Lee's classic movies.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And it's from The Game of Death.
Oh, okay.
And it was his last movie. Never technically finished it because he died during the filming of the movie, and so they literally had to come back to it to finish it. But the yellow jumpsuit is a tribute to him and his martial arts abilities, and that's why you see martial arts throughout the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But I like that sequence, and he even went so far as during that sequence, that fight sequence, and this is the one thing that always cracked me up, and it still does about a lot of martial art movies. Typically, when there's a group scene involving a martial artist, and they're getting ready to take on 20 or 30 guys, now reality is, you should get the living crap beat out of you. But for whatever reason, 20 people decide to go at this person one at a time, as opposed to just everybody run up and just beat the living crap out of them. It just doesn't make sense logistically or numbers wise.
Well, that would be a reason why she's called the Mamba.
Well, yeah, you know.
He's deadly.
But I'm like, come on, people, just like all five of you, just run up and just do it together. But great movie, great sequence.
I
It's just
agree.
one of my
I
top
agree.
movies.
Nice. No, terrific choice, Mike. Kill Bill was on part of my list when I was going through everything. It didn't make my list, but it's a great one. I did think about it for sure. Love the movie. Definitely. So good choice on that one.
And a
My
great
number
villain,
10.
real quick, bud. A
Yeah.
great villain name. The girl that she fights, the main fight in that sequence that I'm referencing, the girl's name, and she winds up using this like ball. I can't even think of the actual technical term for it, but
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
the girl's name was Go-Go, and I just thought
Yeah.
this is classic. But it was a great sequence and a
Yeah.
great name for a villain.
No, definitely. So moving on, my number 10 is Hard to Kill.
Good movie.
Yeah, that movie's crazy. That movie is crazy. I mean, it obviously that whole movie is showing how hard it is to kill that man, right? I mean, obviously at the beginning he's, should be dead. He's not, and he comes back with a vengeance,
Yep.
man, doesn't he? And I'll tell you what, one of the best scenes I've seen in a movie is that pool scene when he's in there, and every time he shoves that guy back into the phone booth, when he shoves him back into the phone booth, and he just beats. Another reason, right? Here's another thing we're talking about: fighting scene, takes on a whole freaking pool hall, and just beats the living crap out of everybody.
With a cue ball.
With a cue ball, in a cloth, and he just knocked that one guy's teeth off.
Here's your trophy. Here's your trophy.
Yeah.
Come get it.
Exactly right. I mean, what a movie! Steven Seagal's amazing. It's kind of more martial arts, right? So we're kind of our top 10 different movies, but we still talking about kind of the same thing: martial arts, fighting type scenes, things like that in those top two. So that's kind of cool that kind of worked out that way.
Yeah,
and my favorite different movies.
And my favorite, and I've seen a lot of his movies, but my favorite, that is actually my favorite Steven Seagal movie. And actually, that is also my favorite Steven Seagal action sequence is the pool hall you're talking about. He also has a good fight. What was the guy, Jimmy Lupo? Was that the guy he was looking for? Was that
it's a Timmy. No, what is
it? Jimmy Lupo?
Bobby Lupo.
Bobby Lupo.
Yeah.
So the sequence.
Because Bobby was his friend, but he's like, anybody see Richie?
That's right, Richie.
Richie did Bobby Lupo.
Richie, that's it. But because Richie's the one he finally finds in the house.
Oh man,
and they go at it.
Crap out of that guy. No, they don't go at it. He beats the hell out of that guy. They don't go at it. I mean, that guy doesn't get a lick in on him.
Yeah, I like it too, though, when he's at the bar, like you're talking about, and he goes up to the guy that I guess owns the bar, and he's looking around, and he's like, I see a bunch of boxing memorabilia here, and a bunch of, you a boxer? You a tough guy?
He's like, who's the boxer? He's like, I'm a boxer. You a tough guy? Yeah, I'm tough enough.
That's a great choice, but that's my favorite Steven Seagal movie.
Yeah, that's definitely obviously on the list. He is my top one. I think another one. I mean, he has such great ones, but I really like Exit Wounds when he did that movie with DMX. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
What's that one about?
That's the one where he's a cop.
Okay.
He's a cop, and then DMX. He's supposedly he's one of the bad guys and this and that, but they end up working together at the end. And
real quick, bud, what was the movie where he is the cook on the battleship?
Is that Under Siege?
Under Siege.
Under Siege?
Under Siege. That's another one that I really liked a lot. Tommy Lee Jones. I even had Gary Busey in it. And he actually, and Seagal plays a cook.
Yeah, he does. He does.
That's another good movie.
Yeah. Moving on, what's your number 9 then?
All right. Keanu Reeves has turned into I never really envisioned him as an action guy when his career first started. He did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and things like that. So he was kind of I thought he was more like a B actor when he first started. And so I really didn't think much about him. But then this guy did a movie called Speed. And I thought this movie, I never thought you could make being on a bus this exciting and this dramatic. But I thought that was pretty good the way they played that out. And this was actually one of Sandra Bullock's first movies.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I tried hard to put Speed on my list. It didn't make it. It did not make my list. But I tried hard to get. So I love Speed. That movie's great.
Oh man.
You know, it's another one of those movies where and this is you kind of see kind of a trend sometimes on some of mine here. But I love these action movies that are, you know, real intense and stuff, but they also have some comedy within it. You know what I mean? You know, and same thing with Speed. You know, there's that scene at the beginning where they tell him to shoot the hostage because they're talking about doing it. And they tell him to shoot the hostage, and he actually shoots him, and he's just like, you shot me. I mean, there's always something good because you have to kind of get out of that intense a little bit. You have to have that funny moment so you're not just like at the edge of your seat type stuff all the time. I mean, some of those movies are great to do with like that. I can't lie for sure, but
yeah. And I like the action movies. That some action movies can have those lulls where they try to do a little bit more with the story, and obviously mix it with a little bit of action, which I get. But really, for me, you know, I'm kind of basic in my action type approach. Just blow stuff up. Just kill people. Kids, if you're watching this, don't take that mindset. It's not good. Bad Mike. But for Mike, you know, that's what I'm looking for. Blow them up, kill as many as you can. And just complete devastation. That's what makes a great action movie. Yeah. But with Speed, definitely. And Speed is one of those movies, though, I really like because the action is maintained basically from beginning to end. You know, there's one lull. Everything's every scene involves something you got to think about. Dennis Hopper as the cop gone bad. You know, upset because his pension. You know, he got screwed over on his pension, and so now he's out to take everybody out and that type of thing. But just and you really don't have. This is the thing, but. And granted, maybe you disagree a little bit, but part of my thing with action movies is you really don't always have to think. And by that I mean you can just watch the movie, and you don't have to figure out a whole lot.
Yeah, you don't have to figure out who killed who was the murder, who was doing what. I hate.
This is the other thing. Yeah. And most action movies, they don't really worry about a love story because I really don't need this. I don't need this fall in love crap. It just gets in the way of blowing stuff up. So just leave that out of the picture and let's just blow stuff up.
I agree. I totally agree.
But Speed, great, solid 9 for me.
Definitely. Love the pick. Like I said, I wish I could have put it on mine. My number 9 is a movie that I've actually loved since I was young. I'm actually undercover dinosaur lover, I should say. So Jurassic Park.
Oh, good one, bud. Good one. You're talking about the first one, right?
Oh yeah, original, 100%. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the rest from even up until Lost World. I loved the Lost World too. I haven't seen any of the newer ones that have come out recently. But I've been like I said, I'm undercover with these Jurassic Parks. I don't think a lot of people realize that. If it's on, I'm sitting there watching it. It's one of those things where it's like when you were a kid, this is how you played. You always. You know, you're out there with your own little baby dinosaurs, but you always have this idea that you're in there and you're with, you know, exact size dinosaurs just playing with them, right? And this movie put that into perspective to be able to say, hey, you can actually be around dinosaurs. You can see what they were like. Well, you know, and obviously we don't know exactly everything about them. We don't know what they actually were like. I mean, this is just off of what people in the past told us, but it's fun, right? It's fun to think that you could be around dinosaurs. You could see them, especially if you love them, if you're really into them, that type of stuff. To be able to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex, to see, you know, a Stegosaurus type stuff. I think it's so cool. And then they did a great job with the whole entire movie itself. The fact of letting the animals out, all the action towards it. You know, the show exactly how. Just how dangerous these dinosaurs could be when they were angry, when they were, you know, got into a fight, the amount of destruction they could actually really do if it really got out of hand or what could happen. But at the same time, it's like just so cool to see that too. I love the movie, and like I said, I have to watch it any time that it's on.
Yeah, and it didn't make my list, but I love the movie. I've seen, like you mentioned, I think I saw the first 3. But here's my thing about movies that are like that. So, and we've both seen good and bad, but with that movie, you saw some really state-of-the-art CGI / special effects. And that if you're
considering when it came out
like
too, at the time it came out too.
yeah, exactly. But see, that type of movie, if you're going to do that, if that's the genesis of what you're trying to do, then that's got to be you got to sell it. It's got to be good. And I thought that movie was tremendous in its ability to make the CGI work, and that type of thing. And I'm a big Jeff Goldblum fan. He's a sort of an obscure actor, and he wasn't the lead in that movie, but he played a significant part. Laura Dern was in the movie, and I liked her quite a bit. And the acting cast as a whole was terrific. But I like the storyline. It's a unique concept idea of a place you could go to, like you're saying, Bud. You're going to go interact with dinosaurs of all things. It would be crazy to do something like that.
That'd be cool.
That would make Disneyland, look like going to play putt-putt or something. It's like, why bother when you can go and, hit the golf course for a round? That type of comparison. No. But it's a really good movie, but I loved the first three. I really did.
Yeah.
Great choice, bud. Great choice.
All right. So what do you got at number 8?
All right. So this actor, let me make sure here. I just want to look real quick. I have him on my list twice, I believe. Yeah, twice.
Wow. Okay.
And I think you'll agree that he is one of the preeminent acting or action stars, definitely of the 80s and probably early 90s, and then hit and miss anywhere after that. Bruce Willis is one of those classic long to the 90s, that type of thing. If you said action star, that probably one of those three guys is who you're going to think of first. Bruce Willis. I don't know. Have you seen the movie Armageddon?
I have seen Armageddon. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And obviously I catch bits and pieces of it. But it's been a long time since I've seen it.
I'm not necessarily a sucker for this, but anytime you give me a movie where a rock is going to blow up the earth, I'll probably sit down and watch it. I'm all about mass destruction, apparently. And it's not a good thing. I mean, my therapist even told me, you might want to work on this a little bit more because this is more than just a one-session thing here. You got to stop this. But a rock that can decimate the planet, that's intriguing to me. But this also had Ben Affleck in it. In one of his early roles, it had Liv Tyler in it. It had a pretty good cast in it, actually, from top to bottom. But, you're taking a bunch of guys that work oil rigs. I think it was in Texas. Offshore oil rigs is what they did. And so they're the only people that have the ability to land on this meteor and blow it up from within, because that's what they do. They dig into the ground, and that's their job as a profession, to find oil. We need these guys to go and land on the meteor and dig into it and set the explosives, that type of thing. But and this movie is nonstop from almost start to finish. Good mix of comedy, like you're talking about, Bud. One of the early sequences, because Ben Affleck is sleeping with Bruce's daughter, Liv Tyler, he finds out about, he is literally chasing him down on the oil rig with a gun, trying to shoot this dude. And so there's a lot of comedy involved, and it permeates throughout the movie.
The one thing I will remember is from that movie, though, and if I'm not mistaken, it's leaving on a jet plane, though. Obviously,
yeah. At the end. Yeah, because he's Ben is singing to her right as they're getting ready to get on one of the shuttles. Yeah. So yeah, that's a great point. But one of those movies, action just goes from start to finish, and by the time, and no spoilers here, folks. I mean, it's been out a long time. If you haven't seen it by now, I don't want to tell you. But even when Bruce basically sacrifices himself, and tells everybody to get off the meteor, I'm going to blow it up. Yeah. It's kind of sad, and I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. Did I shed a tear? I'm not saying.
No. Well, I think you kind of did just shed the tear for everybody by telling him what he was going to blow up.
I think that was laughter, but they're laughing.
No spoilers, folks, but sorry, I'm going to tell you exactly what he's going to do here.
Yeah, I think they're laughing at my state of mind, bud. But I love that.
Yeah, like I said, from everybody I know, and obviously that movie has been around a long time, but people do talk a lot about it. It is a great movie.
I love it.
From what I can remember and things like that. Might be something I have to pull back out and just watch again.
No, it's a great point though on the
hell of
song,
it.
but great touch on the song.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no problem. So my number 8 though is Take It.
Oh, classic
Man.
with Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
All three of them.
Yeah, man. I mean, I could put them all on here if I want to, but you got to stick with the original on this. I mean, that's just, the things that guy has to do to find his daughter, to get her back, from a whole other country, with all this, sex trafficking and stuff like that. It's crazy the things that guy went through. I mean, how insanely smart he is, his talents, to being, a spy and things like that. I mean, that guy, holy crap. We talk about, obviously, when you have kids, that you do anything, you try to do whatever you can for your kid, find them, do whatever. And that's a true definition of, I will do anything in my powers to get my daughter back from you. And he tears that city up. But he, but like another one of those actions from start to finish, incredible, insane. I love Taken. I loved all of them too. They were all great. But you have to put the first one in here no matter what.
Bud, you're leaving out one of the great movie lines in history. And that's when he's talking to the guys that have kidnapped his daughter. He's literally talking to them.
Oh, yeah.
As they're taking her off. And what does he say? I will find you, and I will kill you. And it's absolutely phenomenal. The line is it's classic.
Good luck. Good luck. I told him to read that. What do you say? Good luck. I was like, oh, it's over now. It's over now. It's over. He found him. It's over.
And the action sequences, but when he's fighting, different guys and stuff like that. Yeah, you could say, nah, people don't fight like that. Well, they probably don't really. But in the context of an action movie, and we know how exaggerated they can be sometimes. Like I told you, martial art movies, you're beating 30 guys up in a room. But I thought the fight sequences, they were good. They were semi-realistic because Liam was getting beat up pretty good in some of these.
Yeah.
And he had to sort of dig deep to figure it out. But love, and I love your point though, Bud, about what a parent will do, the links they'll go to protect their kids, find their kids, save their kids. Those are you'll die for your kid. You know this. You have 2 kids your wife would die for. And so that's that underlying statement to the whole movie. He's literally about saving his daughter. He's not just there to wreak destruction. He's there to save his daughter. Great selection, Bud.
Definitely. Well, what do you have moving on to number 7?
I tell you what, I have this 7, and I could have literally put this higher, but I don't know. It's hard, folks. It's hard. A lot of you are not going to be familiar with this movie. Bud is, if nothing else, for his dad. There's a movie called Duel, and you know the one I'm talking about, Bud. Is actually what this was, folks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so actually what this was, folks, in 1973, I think, 73, 74, this was actually a made-for-TV movie, and it was directed by Steven Spielberg. And actually, this movie got...
It's like the original Jeepers Creepers.
Huh?
Almost with the truck. I just think I was the original Jeepers Creepers. With the whole truck situation just coming after him. That's what it felt like. That would be crazy. That movie's crazy.
This movie actually got Steven Spielberg the opportunity to direct Jaws. That's the impression he left on the people to get that movie to direct Jaws. So Duel, essentially, Steven kind of built on the theme of Duel to apply to Jaws. So what it is, basically, a quick synopsis: guy driving from somewhere to a business trip. Along the way, he indirectly sort of irritates a truck driver. And from that point forward, it's this duel that he has with this truck driver, because this truck driver begins to terrorize and harass him and attempts to kill him, really. And so it becomes this back and forth, battle between the semi-driver in his truck and this guy in his, 4-cylinder vehicle, and everything that transpires between these two winding roads and all this other stuff and things like that. It's an absolutely phenomenal movie. It was made for TV, but if you ever...
It's also like in the middle of the desert.
In the middle of the desert, and there's this one point where his car is overheating, and he's trying to get up this hill, and because he was going uphill, he had lost
so
the
you back
yeah,
down so you can,
yeah.
yeah.
And eventually the trucker catches up to him, but he finally gets over the hill and gets up speed and that type of thing. So it culminates in obviously, him, being able to take out the driver. But this was a made for TV movie. And I'll tell you what, to this day, that movie reminds me, don't ever tick off a semi driver. Whatever they want, let it go. Let it go. If you don't like it, pull over. Just let it
Right.
go. Let it go.
Right.
Great movie. You got to see this, folks. Great. Duel. 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 Great movie.
Wow. Good job, Mike. No, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I like that one a lot. Great movie. I remember when my dad showed it to me for the first time. I was sitting
My
there
dad showed it to me too.
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
awesome.
crazy. It's a great movie. I love it a lot. And it's funny you say that about Spielberg getting that. I was like, because he only probably paid what, like $30 to make that movie. So
Oh,
that's pretty nice.
okay, we need a car
Here's
and
a
we need a semi. Can you get that for me?
Just go drive through this canyon while we just have the cameras rolling and almost kill him. All right, $30. That's about it. We're
Steven,
good.
we gave you $1,000 budget. You came in at 500. Awesome job.
Yeah, I pocketed the rest. Oh no, that's a great one, Mike. 7 for me. Unstoppable.
Oh, Bud.
With Denzel Washington.
Oh, Bud, that is an awesome movie.
Yeah. Wife and I love it. Her and I will occasionally do. So we just have those movie nights, and it's like, we want watching it, and we end up coming down. There's another one that there's 2 of them on our list. There are actually 3 on my list that are like our top 3 that we go on to, and I'll get into those later. But this is Unstoppable, definitely one of them.
Hey, real quick, Bud, who's the actress in the movie? Can you remind me?
Oh yeah, it's
because I love her. She is great.
Oh yeah, you know what?
And also the guy that, why can't I think of the guy that co-stars? Because he's a big name.
They are,
Because he was in the Star Trek movies.
This makes me sound bad that it's one of my top actors. I can't know anybody in the cast at all, right? I mean, now I just look bad. Chris Pine and Rosario Dawson.
Yes.
Rosario Dawson. She's great.
She's terrific in everything.
She's tremendous in the movie. I'll tell you what. Obviously, you have Denzel Washington in this, but she is tremendous in this. I thought she was absolutely great. But Unstoppable, great movie, folks. You don't know what it's about. Obviously, it's a runaway. It's a ghosted train that gets away under power on the main railroad line, and basically Denzel Washington is an engine. He runs the engine. They end up going and trying to run down the train and try to stop it. They tried multiple times with other things, tried to derail it, other options that just failed. So him and Will is his name in the movie. They basically go to track down the train and try to stop it. And obviously, like Mike said, we don't want to try to ruin anything for us if you haven't seen these movies, because obviously we hope that you guys, maybe even if you haven't seen them, go after them. But if you do, guys, it's a great movie from start to finish. Definitely watch it. I absolutely love it. Like I said, the wife, same thing too. It's one of the top movies for us that we try to watch if we ever have a movie night or anything like that.
And you cannot go wrong with any Denzel Washington movie. I don't care what it is. I have yet to see, and I've seen a lot of his movies. I have not seen them all, but I've seen most. This guy does not make a bad movie. Folks, on a side note, if you ever want to see a great movie, watch him play Malcolm X. That is insanely good.
Man,
I mean, this guy is...
you can go through... there's just tons, like you said, of lists of what he can do. This guy's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we can't give it away. I was about to say something. Dang it. Because I'm going to...
Please, everybody in the chat, just let us know if you see it so Mike could just say it.
Yeah, you guys need to hurry up. Let us know so we can go ahead and talk about how it ends. This is ridiculous. Come on, people. We've seen this movie 15 times between us. Come on. This is ridiculous. Great movie. Excellent choice, bud.
Definitely. Well, so moving on, what do you have at number 6 then?
I tell you what, and again, I didn't think he had this ability. He actually wound up on my list twice. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, but anybody I've introduced this movie to, and there's been several people over the years, this becomes one of their favorite movies. A lot of people have seen Point Break. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, you know what? I have not seen
Okay,
it. I
but
have not seen
you
all that. I've
really, if you
just
get a
seen bits and pieces
chance,
of it.
because he's giant, or I should say, crap. Keanu is the lead, obviously. Gary Busey's in it,
Mm-hmm.
but Patrick Swayze is also in it. And basically, you
Oh,
could say
okay.
it's a co-star vehicle between him and Keanu. So basically, the quick synopsis, bud: a bunch of guys, I think they call themselves the dead presidents. So what they do is they rob banks, but they each have there's 5 of them. So they put on each one has a mask of a previous president, like Nixon and
Okay.
Johnson, that type of thing. That's why they call themselves the dead presidents. So they go around robbing banks. They've been doing it for a really long time, and they cannot be caught because nobody can get a quick. They just can't figure out how to isolate on who it might be. So ultimately, and it's really not giving anything away because it's never hidden. And so, if in talking about this, I'm not giving anything away, folks, because it's put out there in the early part of the movie. So, I mean, Keanu and Gary play the police officers, and so they begin the search of trying to narrow down who might be doing this. Well, they come to find out that they narrowed it down to the fact that they must be surfers because they find sand and things like that, and oil that you would put on surfboards are attached to some of the scenes. So eventually they figure out that it's surfers. So Keanu infiltrates the group. His name is Johnny Utah. He was a top flight quarterback in college, but I think he played at Utah, hence Johnny Utah. So, so everybody knew him as Patrick knew him from his football days. So he kind of works his way into the group through that association. And so, but eventually Patrick finds out that Keanu is a cop, and so it becomes this battle of trying to one up each other, and this type of thing. But the movie, it's a great storyline. It's got some great action sequences. Patrick was an actual surfer, so the sequences where they show him surfing, that's actually him in certain sequences. But just the overall flow of the movie and how it ultimately culminates is pretty well done. But I fell in the movie the minute I saw it. I've probably over the years, and this came out in the early '90s actually. I probably watched this movie since I first saw it 20 times. Never get tired of it. Never get tired of
Okay.
it. I love it. And I love Patrick
Wow.
Swayze. Good
No,
actor.
I definitely might have to check
It's a
that out. I
good
mean, it
movie,
sounds
bud.
definitely a good
Oh
cast.
yeah.
So it's a cast that I would enjoy watching. So for sure, I may have to pull it out, and as another one that I might have to on top of that
Yeah,
Armageddon.
and this one
So
actress, real quick,
definitely.
about Johnny Utah or Keanu, he meets a girl played by Laura Petty. Uh, and she's actually a really good actress. She doesn't do too much anymore, but back in the early '90s, she was pretty. She had a fairly successful career, a couple of starring roles, a lot of supporting, parts. But Laura Petty plays the love interest, and I'm usually opposed to those things, and I think it takes away from the story. But in this particular instance, it was pretty. It wasn't. It didn't bother me too much. I'll put it that way. Good movie.
Nice. Good one. Good one. Number 6 for me. You've mentioned this guy before already, Bruce Willis. It's Die Hard. Die Hard for me. It's funny. People don't consider Die Hard a
It
Christmas movie, but
is.
it's a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas movie.
Every time you see this movie, you should break into Jingle Bells
Yeah. Well, I
or
mean,
some
or
kind of
something.
bells or
I mean,
something.
it is. I mean, I agree. It's a Christmas movie. I don't know why people don't, but I put it in that. I put it in that same genre as Christmas movies.
It's at
It
Christmas
happens
time.
right there on Christmas. What are you talking about?
It's at Christmas time. There's Christmas trees in the movie. I see presents around a tree. It's a Christmas
I
movie.
agree. Yes, 100%, 100%. There's not much you can say about this movie, guys. I mean, you have to just watch it. If you have not seen Die Hard, please. I mean, even if you have to come back and watch the stream after or something, go turn it on right now.
If you haven't seen Die Hard,
Die Hard is amazing, guys. Bruce Willis, I would have to say, it has to be probably his best role.
yeah, I'm just trying to think real quick, bud. I'm just trying to make sure, but I agree with you completely. I did that quick, folks.
I mean,
That's how quick it was. But that's his best role. That is his best role.
it's crazy. I mean, basically, guys, if you have not seen it, I mean, kind of just a short version of it. Bruce Willis is a cop who basically is going to what is that? What state is that he goes to? visit her.
Oh, he's in Los
Is
Angeles.
it New York? It's Los
Yeah,
Angeles. He's
they're in
in
Los
Los
Angeles.
Angeles, but he's from New York
Yeah,
though, right? Isn't he
exactly,
a New York cop?
exactly.
Okay. So he's a New York cop that's going to visit his family in L.A. Basically, he's at this building which is called Nakatomi Plaza, where what he thought to be wife, but she uses. Well, it's his wife, but she uses her maiden name while working there, and he finds that out, which he's not too happy about at all. But still, basically, it gets taken over by, Hans Gruber. Hans Gruber takes it over. Basically, him and his crew go in there,
And
and
Hans is a bad man.
oh yeah, they're a group of Russian guys, correct? They're Russian. And they basically just take over this building to try to get a lot of they just want money, obviously, get away. I mean, your typical hostage holders people, but on top of that, they have like high power explosives, I mean, AR weapons, all this and that to hold over, but basically, your typical cop trying to save the day and take over and get everybody to safety as far as on top of saving his life too in multiple situations. So, like I said, guys, we don't like to spoil these movies. You haven't seen it. A lot of these movies talk about are older too. So, I mean, hopefully you guys have seen them. You guys could let us know about it. But what a tremendous movie Die Hard is. I mean, I wish I could have put it higher. It didn't even make my top 5, and I'm over here just raving about it, how great it is. But still, I mean, like I said, these are our list, guys. I mean, it might be different if we were ranking these as, what we thought were top ones with, non-biased type. But these are ones that just have been around for us, and we just enjoy watching. I'm sure if it's on TV, we throw it on. If it, we can't not watch it, or if we just haven't seen it in a while, we just put it on type stuff too. But Die Hard's a great movie. Great movie, love it.
If you are a true action fan and you haven't seen this movie, then just give us your movie card right now, because you're insulting the action platform, because that's pathetic if you haven't seen this movie. It's one of the all-time classics. It also has one of the best catchphrases ever mentioned in a movie, Yippee-ki-yay, but we can't say the last part. Because there may be kids watching, and there may be ladies watching too, so we can't say that last
he's got
part.
a whole bunch of different ones that he sits in there with,
Yeah.
Come out to the coast, we get together, we have a few laughs. And he's in that, just that vent when he's trying to crawl around, and then he's like, now I know what a TV dinner feels like.
And that movie, bud, ironically, I never knew this, and I love Twinkies, right? I mean, I love Twinkies. One of my dreams is to have an oversized Twinkie, folks, shrunk down in size to like microscopic level and insert into a Twinkie, and just find a way to eat myself out of the Twinkie, because Twinkies taste great. But I never realized until that movie, and this is dead serious, because he makes a comment, the police officer Al makes a comment that Twinkies, their prime ingredient, well, one of them is yellow dye number 5. I never knew what that was, but it actually is a thing. It's a legitimate thing with Twinkies, yellow dye number 5. I never knew that, and I still remember that to this day, and I love Twinkies. Great choice, bud.
Nice. Well, thank you. All right. Well, moving on. Keep on moving on here. We got number 5. We're in our top 5 now, Mike.
All right. This one I could have placed higher, but man, there's just, like you said, bud, it's hard. There's some great movies out there. One of my all-time favorites. I loved Terminator, right? I thought at the time when it came out in the early 80s, if you look back now, I still think the special effects hold up, but some of it's a little shaky, particularly when they show up close of Arnold with the makeup and everything. You could tell it's a little iffy. Yep. But my choice at number 5 was Terminator 2. This movie picks up, years later. Yeah. So now Sarah Connor has a quick synopsis. Sarah now has, John Connor, her son, kind of on the run, so to speak, because she's half crazy because she's been locked in an institute because of all the things she tells people and believes about the future. Her son now lives with a foster family for the most part. So there's a whole lot of this going on, and eventually she gets out, has to rescue her son because the Terminator has come back to track him down and kill him, because John Connor in the future, he establishes everything that's going to take down. What's the name of the group, bud? I can't think of the name of the group. Anyway, an organization that's going to build technology that's going to essentially affect the entire planet. So, but this time Arnold comes back as a good Terminator to protect John Connor from another Terminator that comes down. And so this begins the whole process of them on the run, trying to avoid the other Terminator and that type of thing. So it's a little bit of a twist on the original because now Arnold's the good guy, and the bond he has and develops with John Connor as the boy. Well, I think in the movie it's like 14 or something like that, but
yeah, something like that. I believe so.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, this is one of the great, and this movie is action, folks, nonstop from start to finish. One of the great lines in the entire movie, and I always love it, and I remember it. So they're in this building, they're trying to access some of the information that one of the guys works for the company. So they're going to get the chip that they can take and destroy to help hopefully prevent what is going to happen in the future. Well, during the process, the police show up, SWAT shows up, everybody shows up, right? And so they're inside the building still. So John is he's the lookout. So if anything happens, he's to let them know. So he comes running back into the room. He says, hey, he says, the cops are outside. His mom says, well, how many is out there? He says, all of them, I think. I mean, it's a classic line, just the way he delivers it. Deadpan serious, just like, well, it's all of them. You know, and then, you know, Arnold steps to the edge of the building and he's got like a Gatling gun or something like that. I mean, it's rapid fire, taking everything out, but he never injures anybody. That's his promise to John. You know, I'll save you, but I won't kill anybody. I won't maim anybody. And he actually manages to do it. Oh, again, won't spoil the ending, but, you know, just a great movie from start to finish. Nice. And it's one of my favorites. I've probably seen that one too about 20 times. So great movie.
Nice.
Linda Hamilton
great.
is Sarah Connor, first and second movie. Really good actress, like her a lot. And she really, really hit the weights for this movie. She looked fantastic. And Arnold always looks good because he's always in shape.
Yeah. Oh, no, definitely. That's a great movie, Mike. Definitely a good one for sure. My number 5 I have is The Heat. With Sam Fox and Melissa McCarthy.
Wow.
This is another movie that the wife and I, and we literally just watched it earlier this afternoon. It was on TV. We started watching it. Yeah. But yeah, The Heat is one of those. It's action packed, this and that, but absolutely hilarious to watch these two. It's great because it's the female leading role as being a cop. This and that. You know, they don't take them too seriously, but they obviously do their job, and between the two of them, obviously one's a New York cop, the other one's a Boston cop. They got to try to figure out a way to work together on trying to bring down a drug lord. But absolutely hilarious. Melissa McCarthy's great. Sandra Bullock plays a great role in there with it too. But absolutely funny, action-packed with everything. But the most part about it is just the comedy in it, the hilarious scenes and all this and that. It's just absolutely amazing. I love the movie. Keeps me going. Like I said, we'll watch it. We watch it all the time. We literally watch it all the time. And if it's something that we're like, oh, hey, what should we watch tonight? The Heat's definitely one of the ones that we throw out.
Yeah, great movie. Again, Melissa, she kind of plays that like butch type cop, rough around the edges. Yeah. Sandra's that prim and proper, everything by the book.
FBI, and she's FBI. She's an FBI.
Yeah, I'm sorry, FBI. And I never realized, Sandra's good in everything she does, but she really does. She has a real flair for comedy. I mean, Melissa, that's what she does basically, but she's a good serious actress too. But there was talk of a sequel, and I guess that fell through. Maybe they'll do it, I don't know. But like we talked about, but fantastic movie. The comedy is literally off the charts. It's one of those movies you see it for the first time, you can't help but laugh hysterically. Yeah, just a really good movie, good cast. But if you're looking for a good laugh, that's a good one to pick. That's an excellent choice, bud.
Definitely. Well, sounds good. Moving on now, we are on to number 4.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first movie you and I have the same, I think. I also, at number 4, bud, I did pick Die Hard.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to, speak on this, but for a moment, again, it is a Christmas movie. I don't care what anybody says. It was based at Christmas time. That makes it a Christmas movie, regardless of what you say. So if you don't like it, eat a snowball, and leave us alone.
Eat a snowball. Love it. Well, so my number 4 is War of the Worlds. Tom Cruise.
You're talking about the Tom Cruise one, because you know that's a remake, right?
Oh yeah, but
Okay,
I mean, I gotta stick with the Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have to.
And a lot of people didn't like it.
I don't understand why.
I know.
I love that movie. Oh, I'm not kidding. And I had a tough time finding it one time, and then I was able to. I don't remember where I found it on. I can't remember what. I was able to get it on one of the streaming sites that we will get stuff on and things like that. But I finally found it. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely love. Tom Cruise is great in it. The fact that he obviously has to try to bring his kids to safety when the kids don't really even, respect him in a sense, things like that, because he's obviously just never around for them as often and things like that. But, I mean, guys, you got to watch this movie. This movie's insane. It's crazy. And I believe you took me to see this movie. I think we went and seen it at
That
the
is
theater,
right. I forgot all about that. That is right.
Yeah.
That is right. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, and Dakota Fanning.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
That's his daughter. Yeah, it's his daughter that's in it too. So it's a great movie, guys. You have to watch it. Like Mike said, you've seen the old one. Obviously, it's just a remake of that. But the newer one,
way better.
I believe, is actually better for sure. Definitely.
I love seeing rocks blow up the earth. That's just like a dream scenario for me. But if anything's going to top that, is to have irritated aliens come down and attempt to take over the planet and just decimate the entire world. Does it get any better than that? That's almost like, I used to think, Bud, if things like Godzilla and King Kong existed, how cool would this be? They're like 300 feet tall.
Well, like I said, the whole Jurassic Park thing too. I'd love to sit around, walk around with some Stegosauruses and some Brontosauruses, and
yeah, I mean,
maybe hang out with a T-Rex or something, so I could feed him. Because I know he can't do it with his little arms.
Yeah.
I feed him. I know. It's so mean. There you go. I know you can't reach it, bro. You're just stuck like this. So you just catch it. I'll just throw it to you.
Is there anything better than like this kind of stuff just decimating the planet and just tearing it to shreds? Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
This should be like, they should make one of these every year. A lot of them are bad, but when you get a good one, you got to watch it. Like,
who's a better person to get through all this and try to get out? Tom Cruise, right? Put Tom Cruise in it.
I mean, if you trust this guy to perform impossible missions, wouldn't you entrust this dude to save the world? I mean, that's what he does, and he really does it. He doesn't have a stunt person. He's the one saving the alien, defending against the aliens. He's the one riding the plane to blow stuff up. So he's out there taking care of business. That's a great choice, bud. It's a long movie, but it is absolutely worth it, folks. If you get a chance to.
But I'll tell you what, that movie that you watch that, it don't.
No. It's one of those. It goes by like that. Oh, that's a great choice, bud.
Moving on, number 3.
So, keeping with the alien theme, and I love this stuff. And like I said, the alien that wants to kill everything and anybody, man, that works for me. This just fascinates me. This kind of stuff is out there, and it would be cool. Kind of, I know it's therapy, and I really do need it, but trust me, it makes for great movie watching. Predator, your dad. See, I saw the movie at the theater with my dad. One of the few movies I got my dad to go see, but he went to see that for whatever reason. And obviously, it's got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, Jesse Ventura, Carl Weathers was in it. Carl Weathers, who recently passed away.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Man, I think I've seen it maybe once or twice.
Oh no, I've seen this movie, but
I think it's the same thing. My dad, I think they put it on one time when we watched it, but it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. I mean, I don't even remember a lot of it either.
But so when your dad worked at the video store, one of the first movies, actually this was in his collection, and he let me borrow it, right?
Oh, okay.
And I bet you I watched that movie. This is on VHS. This is how far back this goes. I'll bet you I watched that movie in the time he let me borrow it, and he let me hold on to it for about a week or two. I probably watched it 15 times. I'm not kidding you. I can recite.
Well, that's a lot of time to watch a VHS, considering you had to rewind it and all that too. I mean, it took like 2 hours to rewind the videotape.
So look at the time I spent just rewinding the movie to watch it. You know, but this is one of those movies. I can literally recite a lot of the dialogue. I know every scene, all that stuff. I love this movie. It's one of my all-time favorites, folks. Real quick, this elite, military team brought in to bring out some people out of the jungle. Arnold oversees this group. I think it's 5 guys. So they're the ones entrusted to go save this group. Turns out the mission is bogus, and for in large part. But along the way, they don't realize some of the things that they're finding. These previous groups that were in there that disappeared and didn't come back had literally been skinned alive, and they're trying to figure out what's going on because they knew some of these people because they were all military. And so eventually they figure out that they're being tracked by an alien. And part of what the Predator does, and we all know the history if you're an action fan, Predators, that's what they do. They come down, they hunt people as trophies and that type of thing. So they come to find out they're dealing with a predator. It's hunting them down one by one, that type of thing. And ultimately Arnold, fights it at the end, and they have a pose down, I think 5 different muscle poses, and Arnold wins. So it's Arnold got most muscular. The alien, didn't have the muscular ability to compete. But ultimately, like I said, all joking aside, Arnold defeats the alien, but the movie itself, from start to finish, absolutely fantastic. One of my all-time great movies. That's why I have it at 3. If you get a chance to watch it, folks, definitely check it out.
Oh yeah, no, good job, Mike. That's a good one. The more you kind of start talking about it, I kind of brought back memories of the movie a little bit, and I still maybe have to. There may be another one. Grab out and watch again or something like that. It's a good one, man. No, I like it. I like being able to think about movies like that, and maybe something else to watch, something different, things like that. It's a good one. No, three for me. Top Gun, another Tom Cruise.
Can't go wrong.
I know. Man, there's nothing better than that volleyball scene, though, right? It's funny to think, right? Because in that movie, obviously being, a fighter jet pilot, kind of all this, you'd think you'd be more excited to see maybe a fight scene in the air with him, but ain't nothing better than that volleyball scene. That's a great scene to just put in the middle of a movie like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The music's great to it. It's a great scene for all that, but man, I mean, another movie, start to finish. I mean, it's got action, it's got romance, it's got, sadness, it's got comedy. I mean, it's got everything in this movie. Acting is tremendous in this movie, too. I mean, guys, and I'm not talking about the new one either. I myself have not seen the new one.
Oh, but you got to.
I still have not seen it, unfortunately, but, I mean, I still can't see that being able to top the original. I just can't. I just cannot see that. This is one of those movies where I will not think that anybody can top. I have a handful of movies for me that have sequels, and I would sit here and say, oh, there's just no way that it can. And I just can't see anything just jumping over Top Gun. It's so amazing. Just a great movie. And I obviously remember one of the better stories I have is just I remember this movie coming out and my dad having it. And I remember when they started bringing out the surround sound systems for your TVs and getting big screen TVs, and I just remember it's hilarious. I remember coming home from school and walking in through my front door, and what do I see when I go into my living room? There is a big screen TV with a surround sound system. And my dad at full blast playing Danger Zone with shotgun on there and all these things. And man, it sounded amazing. Obviously, it makes the movie a whole lot better to listen to it like that. I mean, I don't think there's ever a time my dad could watch that movie without putting a surround sound on and not turning it up and things like that. But that's a memory I'll always remember for that. But Top Gun, again, guys, you need to see that. If you have not seen the original, I mean, obviously Mike has said that the new one is very, very good.
It is very good.
I have yet to see it, though, but if you have not seen Top Gun, throw it on, folks, definitely.
And also, probably, Bud, one of the top 10 movie soundtracks of all time, too. I mean, some phenomenal.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying about that.
But the other thing, too, definitely. And it's curious you mentioned that to me. I mentioned to you that Predator was one of the few movies I got my dad to go see at an actual theater. You mentioned with Top Gun, walking in and your dad has this whole thing set up. See, these are movies, folks, that not only they resonate with us just from a viewing standpoint, but some of these movies have like personal attachments with him as well.
Yeah.
Anthony with his dad, me with my dad, that type of thing. One of the great soundtracks of all time. Really can't add to what you were saying, but as far as the movie itself, phenomenal movie, action sequences. I will say this about Top Gun Maverick. Phenomenal movie. I did not think they could find a sequel to at least equal the original. They did. You got to see it. I didn't say better. I did not say better, but
I don't know.
But I
I
really
don't even know if
think,
I can put it as equal.
yeah,
I don't know. I'll
it
watch
is
it.
really
I'll have to watch it. I
close.
really will. I've been wanting to. I'll find time. I definitely will
Do find
to
time,
watch it.
bud, because I really would be curious to get your reaction. I don't know if your dad has seen it, but I'd be curious to get your.
Well, you know what? I'll try to make it a point to watch it here sometime soon, and then maybe I can give my actual thoughts on the podcast here. I'll give my thoughts about it. So
all right,
definitely try to work on doing
great choice,
that.
bud. Great choice.
Definitely. Number 2, Mike, what you got?
All right, folks. Hey, aliens, just destroy the planet. I'm fine with it. I just want it to be spectacular. I'm good. Thumbs up. Let's go. Alien was a great movie when it came out in 1978 or 79. You never really, this was unique because almost like Jaws, you never really saw what was terrorizing everybody till the back end of the movie. So the directors, their ability to build the suspense was phenomenal. And that's what Alien did. Aliens just takes it, they throw all the suspense out the door, and it's a full frontal assault. The first time I did not see this movie at the theater, I rented it. And your dad probably is the one, at the time rented it to me. Took it home, watched it. I just wanted to see it. And it literally just left me, my mouth dropped. It was nonstop action from start to finish. Not one alien, but I mean, just bunches of aliens killing everybody. Some of the aliens dying, that type of thing. It's kind of a complicated storyline. Essentially, military Ripley, search and rescue, and just a lot of things go on. But then in trying to get back home to Earth on the transport spaceship, aliens and that type of thing on board, and they wind up on one of the planets, I think it is, and now they experience a whole bunch of aliens, and so it becomes this war with what's left of the military group and that type of thing, going back and forth, and eventually it culminates in Ripley having to fight with one alien in particular, and whatever outcome comes from that. But it's just the action sequences. It's one of those movies again, but from start to finish, you just don't get to take a breath.
Oh, my dad, I don't know how many times he watched that movie too. He loves it.
Yeah, a little bit of comedy here and there.
Oh yeah.
But it's a full frontal assault on your senses, and it's just wow. And by the time it's over, and that's another movie I have seen many, many times, and never pass on it if it's on.
I feel like I've seen it so many times because my dad sits there and watches that.
Oh man.
I feel like I've seen it just so many times.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Too, so definitely, that's a great pick, Mike. For sure, definitely love that. Number 2 for me is White House Down.
Oh, very good movie. Channing Tatum.
Yeah, Channing Tatum, Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx playing the president of the United States, and obviously the White House gets taken over, things like that, by his own guy, his own personal Secret Service guy that's with him takes over with his own crew, and Channing Tatum's security for the chief of the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Secretary of State, and he ends up trying to basically save the White House. That's basically what it is. Save the White House. Channing Tatum. Great movie. Another one of those action-packed, start to finish, comedy in it. Some drama, obviously sadness. I love that movie. And this is probably, like I talked about with the wife, movies I would love to watch. This is probably our top movie when we're sitting there thinking about what to watch. We'll probably throw on White House Down. That's just on the top of the list for us. We could watch that movie every single day probably. It's just great. Channing Tatum does a great job in the movie. I thought it's kind of one of those things where, like you said, Mike, sometimes in these movies they get a little crazy with the fighting, with the
but that's part of
too many guys. Well, no, but in this one, it's like he doesn't get involved with like a huge amount of people. It's just him fighting throughout the whole movie, trying to get back to where it is. So it makes it a little more realistic. Is kind of what I'm going with that. But another movie, guys, you have not seen it, I would throw it on. Definitely tremendous movie.
Yeah, and I've seen the movie. I think it's probably 3 times, but and I like the movie. And obviously, they made a few more too. Uh, I don't know what they were called, but no, obviously with Channing Tatum in them. I can't remember the guy's name right now, but something down. But obviously involving the president and the agent himself. But back to White House Down. Not really adding much more to what you're talking about. Great action movie, start to finish. Pretty decent storyline. Acting is solid. And just, you literally get to see the White House basically just, bullet holes everywhere, explosions. This is the White House. It's just getting decimated. But a good overall action movie. If you get a chance to check it out, folks, definitely a must-see. Good choice, bud.
Definitely. Well, Mike, this is it. What's your number one?
My number one, bud, folks, I'm a big Marvel comics person, comic book person in general. Growing up a kid, I always thought it would be awesome if they could really transfer, comic book characters to the big screen. CGI is the best thing to ever happen to comic books, period. It allows them to do everything. So Marvel, over like a decade, began developing individual storylines with different characters, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man. Ultimately, it culminated in a 10-year final battle with a character called Thanos, and it's the culmination of all these events leading up to this, and him looking at world domination, actually, dominating the galaxies, so to speak, and all these characters coming together and uniting to try to fight him. Obviously, some heroes die, but some survive, and actually produced one of the saddest moments I've ever seen in movies, when Robert Downey Jr., who played Iron Man throughout the first 10 years, he passes away in Endgame. And Endgame is the name of the movie, folks. I'm sorry. But it literally is a lot of action from start to finish, personal sacrifice from the superheroes and that type of thing, and everything they stand for and represent in protecting society. But the fight sequence at the end, the final battle, was right up there with one of the Lord of the Rings films that I saw. And it's just from a aesthetic view, cinematography, the way they filmed it, the way they did all this with CGI was absolutely phenomenal. It's one of the greatest endings to a movie I've ever seen, just from the scope and the broadness of the scenes itself. It was incredible. And that is my number one film of all time.
Nice.
That must see for anybody that's really into the hero thing. It is absolutely.
So that's your number one movie, even all time. So it's not even just action movies. You're saying that's your.
That is my number one film, period. Well,
okay.
Well, I won't say of all movies, but definitely, obviously, with the action movies like we're talking about, yes.
Okay.
But it would still be top 5 of my all-time movies, probably, yes.
Oh, for sure, definitely. No, good one, Mike. For me, my number one, I remember because I think you, my dad, and myself, we've done like our list before of like movies all together, top movies. And this one was, I believe if it wasn't at least number 3, it definitely was top 5, but it's Twister.
Oh,
Bill
man.
Paxton, Helen Hunt.
Bill Paxton. Not Bill Paxton, but maybe I was.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton was, I'll tell you what, the wife knows if I see Twister on anywhere, it's going on. And sometimes I'll just throw it up and out. It's a tremendous movie. I love, it's one of those things where I don't think I could ever get the courage to do it, but man, what an adrenaline to go chase some tornadoes.
Oh no, but I want to do that. They have vehicles now, the storm chasers. You can literally stay.
No, I get that, but no.
Oh man, I would do that in a heartbeat.
I'm not going flying.
No, but there's a video where they do this, and the tornado literally passes right through them. And it's insane the noise you hear.
I'm not trying to put my life in danger like that, but I just watch somebody do it. That's why it's so exciting. I watch somebody else put their lives in danger for it, and I just get the thrill of it.
That movie has one of the great visual effects. When they pull up and they're in the town and it's at night and everybody's at the drive-in? And you just when the lightning hits and you see that tornado behind the movie screen, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's really well
Tremendous.
done.
Oh, I love that movie. It is great.
And you know they're making a sequel, right?
Helen Hunt does a great one.
They're making a sequel.
Oh yes. I've the wife sent me TikToks about it and stuff like that, the trailers and things. I'm looking forward to it. I definitely want to see it.
But as you said, but Helen Hunt is terrific.
Oh yeah. I think she does a great job in that movie. Definitely, like I said, I believe when we did that list, if it wasn't like number 3 or something, it had to have been in the top 5, no matter what.
How many times do you think you've seen this movie?
Whew. Easily 50 times. Probably.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I watch this movie all the time.
That's
why I said when we made that all-time list, it was like top. It had to be top 5 no matter what for sure. But yeah, I mean, because I think the only other movie I've seen probably the most, and it was number 1 on my list when we did that, but it's Friday. I mean, I've probably seen Friday probably almost close to 100 times.
Yes, I mean, Friday is hilarious too.
Oh my God, all of them are great. I mean, even the Friday After Next, it has some funny ones in it too. But Friday's just, I mean, it's oh gee, that's original. It's just.
Chris Tucker.
I mean, everybody knows Friday. Everybody knows Friday, right? I mean, you can recite so many different things and people will know exactly what movie you're talking about right then and there. But,
so real quick,
yeah, I mean, Twister for me
is it safe to say then that Twister is the movie you personally have seen the most of any movie? 50 times is a lot.
You mean
like
of all time?
Of all time.
I've seen Friday more than I've seen Twister.
Really? Okay, gotcha.
Oh, I've watched Friday. I mean, man, I used to watch Friday like every Friday. I can't get enough of that movie.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's another movie. I can't get enough of that either.
Yeah.
I just same thing. The wife knows too. It's just you get to a point now, and you know, and I don't want to get too crazy with this because I know we're kind of running out of time here, but it's kind of just like the things we talk about with just not being as into the sports nowadays.
Yeah.
So I'm not into the movies that we once were. So I still stick with the old timer stuff. Like if it's not like, oh, you want to find a new movie to watch or something tonight? No, let's just go back. Let's just put on Friday. Let's just put on Twister, White House Down. You know, let's just go back to it because that's just something that we enjoy,
sure.
And that's why that's why we make these lists. That's why they're on these lists. That's why they're at where they're at. Like Twister, if I see it on, it's on. Like you come to my house, I find Twister on TV. It's right on my house. It's gonna be on there.
Yeah.
Same with Friday. I mean, those are just the movies that we watch all the time that we enjoy watching. You know, that it just keeps you going. It makes you happy. That type of stuff too, but yeah, no, definitely. I would say Friday is definitely.
Yeah, yours is Friday, bud, and next Friday, mine. As we wrap up here, all time most seen Jaws. That's another list, but Jaws is my all timer. It literally scared. I learned how to swim when I was a little boy. It scared me out of the water. I never went back into the ocean. I never did. Another time, another story. But that's my all timer. Great list, bud.
Yeah, no, definitely. So next week, guys, you know what, Mike? We didn't talk about what we want to do next week. You got anything in here that you kind of want to get through again? Do we want to go back to some sports stuff, top 10, or do we want to do outside of it?
Are we done? We have time?
Yeah, that was our number one. We
got extra credit time?
No, I'm saying for next week. What are we doing for next week?
Oh, shit. I got excited about extra credit time. I think we keep it as a surprise, folks. But understand our top 10 list next week will be entertainment related. Like Anthony said, you know, we're kind of stepping outside the box a little bit. Love our sports, but just to give you folks a little change of pace, you know, we're serious sometimes, but we want to have a fun and just, you know, generate some laughs and, you know, maybe some memories. You never know.
Yeah.
So maybe some movies we talked about tonight.
Give us in the comments, guys. We'll look in the comments too. If there's something you guys want to talk about, let us know. Let us know how you guys like this. Did you guys like the change of pace of us doing this and doing something different? And the movies we talked about, is there some movies that you guys have memories from that we kind of brought back to from some of these older movies and stuff like that? Please let us know in the comments. We'll read and we'll pay attention to everything that you guys have to say.
Yeah, we'll talk about candy bars. We'll talk about soups. We'll talk about
I mean, Mike had a
just
great
anything.
starter with all of his cereals. You guys want to see what Mike has his great cereal list? We'll do his cereal.
You want to see? You want to see what I put in the bowl? I can do that. I can put it in the bowl for you.
We're gonna sit here. We're gonna start a podcast as Mike's showing us how he makes his bowl of cereal and eats it with his
It's a very involved process, folks. Trust me. It's more complicated than you. At least for me, it is, and that's pretty sad. But we have a surprise for you next week with the list. We hope you like it. We think you will.
Definitely. Well, once again, great show, Mike. Fun as always. Can't wait till next week to see what we got going on. Please, like you said, guys, tune in. Let us know how we did. Have any comments, any feedback about us, please. We will definitely listen to everybody and everything. Please, once again, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, hit the like button. It helps us a lot more than you guys think. It takes a few seconds. Subscribe. Anything else, Mike, that you got for us?
Two things, folks, on top of what Anthony just added. Also, you can hit that notification bell. That obviously will alert you when we've got new stuff released. But as always, I'd be remiss if I didn't do this on a weekly basis. My compliments to Mr. Anthony Alvarez for everything he does each and every single week with this show in this format. Without this gentleman right here, this show does not happen. It is a phenomenal job he does, and I appreciate for everything he does and allow me to be a co-host along with this gentleman right here. So my compliments to this gentleman. I think to my right, or you be seeing him to my left. I don't know how that works, but either way, he's to my side. And I think this gentleman probably does
we're on
the
the same screen somehow, some way, I believe is what it is, or something like that.
And Joe's here. And 75,000 people behind me are still here. They have never left, folks. It's incredible. Again, all my thanks to Mr. Anthony Alvarez.
Well, I appreciate it, Mike. No, definitely. Thank you also for everything you do. I mean, you give tons of great input each week about what we could do to get this show looking better each week. So I appreciate that to you also. So, like I said, guys, please let us know what we could do for you guys. We look forward to listening to whatever you guys have for us. Like I said, write in the chat. Let us know if you like our top 10s. What would you like for us to do? If you guys have any questions about our top 10s, things like that, please feel free to let us know in the comments. But other than that, have a great week. Have a good night and stay safe, people.
Have a good night, folks.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll.